So this story about the president's announcement coming up, I think is really interesting. I know there's a big debate about merit-based immigration, but a lot of countries do it. It's done in Canada.
That's right.
But, you know, it all sort of depends on what you put the weight on. And certainly the thing about this country is there are all types of people that are needed to fill jobs, not just people with PhDs or whatever, right? Precisely. So I'm really curious to see, you know, what he has in mind.
Well, we are, in fact, waiting to hear more details about the White House's plan to overhaul the nation's legal immigration system.
President Trump will speak from the Rose Garden this afternoon to reveal a new proposal that would take a merit-based approach. But some say it may be a struggle to gain support on Capitol Hill for this. Ben Tracy has the details.
I don't think most countries are giving us their finest.
On Wednesday, President Trump sounded a lot like candidate Trump.
They're not sending their best.
His attacks on the nation's immigration system are the same because so far he's been unable to change it, even when Republicans held both the House and Senate.
It's a tough issue. Like I said, we'll see how it plays out, but it's a good faith effort on their part.
Now, staring down re-election, the White House has a new plan, but one that's still unlikely to get through Congress.
I'm not encouraged. I hate to say that.
The president is proposing a merit-based immigration system that assigns potential immigrants points based on specific skills, education, income level, and if they speak English. This would largely replace the current system in which green cards are awarded mainly based on family connections and a lottery. The president's plan would also increase border security, including wall construction in high-priority areas. Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, designed the proposal and has been trying to sell it to Republicans on Capitol Hill.
You're going to have to get Democrats in the room.
It's a non-starter for most Democrats because it does not address the issue of undocumented immigrants, including the so-called dreamers, who came to the U.S. as children. It also does not fix the problem of families who have been separated.
I'm skeptical as to whether he truly wants to deal with immigration reform.
All right, so Ben Tracy is at the White House. Ben, so we've got a few details. We know he's sort of touting this merit-based approach to immigration, leaning away from family ties and in the direction of other things, I presume education and so forth. But any more details on this proposal?
Well, the White House officials who briefed us on this, they say that they've really based this proposal on what is done in other countries, places like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, where they do have these merit-based systems. They basically try to recruit people to come to their countries to fill jobs and roles that they don't have the population to fill on their own. So that is what the White House is looking for here. They're looking for people with higher educations. They want people specifically with higher income levels, with job offers that will pay them a good wage, because they want to decrease the amount of people who actually need any form of public support. It'll be interesting to see if the president puts more details on this today when he talks in the Rose Garden, or how he frames this, if this is really a plan that is meant to be passed as legislation, or if this is more of something for him to campaign on.
Ben, as you know, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen resigned last month, which gave immigration hardliner Stephen Miller, some said, a lot more influence. What are you hearing from the White House about the fact that Jared Kushner spearheaded this proposal?
Well, it's interesting. When we were briefed on this, Stephen Miller was not in the room, and the person who did the briefing went out of his way to say this is not a Stephen Miller plan, this is not a Jared Kushner plan, this is President Trump's plan. They are officially calling this the Trump plan, and they say that they hope it will eventually become the Republican plan. Of course, there's going to be a lot of opposition to this on Capitol Hill from both sides. You'll have Democrats who say this does nothing to address the issue of undocumented immigrants, including dreamers. It doesn't mention asylum. And then you're going to have hardline immigration folks on the other side saying this basically keeps the amount of green cards that the country hands out at the same level. They would like to see that actually lowered. So the White House might get this from both sides in terms of pushback.
So President Trump made illegal immigration one of the central themes of the 2016 campaign, and it kind of looks like it's shaping up to be that again for the 2020 campaign. But he's not addressing illegal immigration here. He's addressing legal immigration. Is there a plan for illegal immigration?
Yeah, you know, often the two are conflated. I was at one of the president's rallies last week in Florida, and immigration was a huge part of his talk. And in fact, that is what elicited some of the biggest response from the crowd. There were the chants of build the wall. The president does talk repeatedly of border security, and that is part of this plan. They say that they first have to secure the border before we really can fix this issue of who is coming into the country. But this shift to a more merit-based system, to a points-based system, this is something the president and his allies have talked about for a long time, but this is really the first big formal proposal they have put forward. The White House says this is the most detailed immigration plan ever put out. I think some on the Hill would debate that and say that there's a lot of details here that will still need to be worked out.
Yeah.
Ben, let me ask you about this. The TSA is sending hundreds of its employees to the U.S. southern border. What are you hearing that those workers are going to be doing there?
Well, yeah, when you first hear that, it sounds a little odd. Obviously, there are no airplanes down there on the border to board. So these are not airport screeners. They're not the folks that most of us run into at the airport. These are air marshals. These are lawyers that work for the TSA. And our understanding is that they are going down there to help Homeland Security. They're going to be doing things like providing transportation, distributing meals, and providing legal advice.
All right.
All right, Ben. We're going to be looking forward to that Rose Garden announcement. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks.